Welcome to LinguaWire English A2. Today, we have two stories. One about Ukraine's president visiting Saudi Arabia to offer drone help, and another about new Olympic rules for women's sports. Please follow us to practice English every day with the latest episode. For transcripts and comprehension quizzes, visit linguawire.com. I'm here with Sarah, LinguaWire's international news correspondent. Sarah, what happened with Ukraine's president and Saudi Arabia?
Hello, Daniel. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited Saudi Arabia on March 26. He said Ukraine can help with drone technology to improve security in the Gulf region. This is new because Ukraine wants to share its experience with drones, not just sell weapons.
Why is this visit important now?
It is important because energy security in the Gulf affects the world. Saudi Arabia and other Gulf countries have oil and gas that many countries need. Zelensky said stable energy markets help keep prices steady, especially in Europe. So helping Gulf security helps many people.
What does Ukraine want in return for this drone help?
Zelensky wants help defending Ukraine from the ongoing Russian invasion. He asked Middle Eastern countries for air defense missiles. Ukraine does not have enough of these missiles to protect itself well, so this visit is also about making a deal for defense support.
Have any companies started working on this drone deal?
Some Ukrainian drone companies have been contacted by Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. For example, Kvertus, a company that makes anti-drone systems, said they are waiting for government approval to export products. The government must agree because the deal is political, not just business.
What could happen next with this cooperation?
If the Ukrainian government agrees, the companies can start exporting drone technology and defense systems. This could help Gulf countries improve their security. Also, Ukraine could get the air defense missiles it needs, but the situation depends on politics and international decisions.
Is there anything surprising about this story?
Yes, it is interesting that Ukraine is offering not just weapons, but also its real experience in using drones with other systems, like radars and aviation. This shows Ukraine's strength in modern military technology. It is more than just selling drones, it is sharing knowledge.
How does Ukraine use drones differently from just selling them?
Ukraine has real experience in using drones together with radars and air defense. This means they know how to make drones work well with other military tools. It is not only about technology, but also about how to use it in real situations.
Thank you, Sarah. That helps us understand the new developments in Ukraine's relations with the Gulf. Now I am with Michael, LinguaWire's sports correspondent. Michael, what is the latest news about women's sports at the Olympics?
Hello, Daniel. The International Olympic Committee announced on March 26 that from the 2028 Olympics, women's sports will be limited to biological females. This means only those born female can compete in women's events.
What is the reason for this new rule?
The IOC says the rule is to make competition fair and safe. The president, Kirsty Coventry, said even small differences can change who wins, so they want to stop biological males from competing in women's categories because it would not be fair or safe in some sports.
How will they check if an athlete is eligible for women's sports?
They will use a once-in-a-lifetime sex test. This test looks for the SRY gene, which is on the Y chromosome and causes male characteristics. The test is done by saliva, cheek swab, or blood sample. It is a simple and not painful test.
What happens if an athlete does not pass this test?
If an athlete fails the test, they can still compete in other categories. For example, they can compete in male categories, mixed categories, or open categories where sex does not matter. The IOC wants to include all athletes, but in the right categories.
Why does this decision matter for the Olympics and athletes?
It matters because it changes who can compete in women's sports. It affects transgender women and athletes with differences in sexual development. This rule aims to keep competition fair, but also raises important questions about inclusion and rights. The decision will affect many athletes worldwide.
Is there anything unusual about the way the IOC made this decision?
Yes, the IOC said the decision is based on a review led by medical experts. They want to use science to make the rules clear. Also, the test is only done once, not every time an athlete competes. This is new and different from past rules.
How will this rule affect future Olympic Games?
From 2028, only biological females can compete in women's sports. This will change who we see in many events. It may also affect how athletes prepare and how teams select players. The rule will be important for the future of the Olympics.
Thank you, Michael. This gives us a clear picture of the new Olympic rules for women's sports. Let's look at 3 connected words from our first story about Ukraine and Saudi Arabia. The theme is security. First word, security. Security means safety from danger or harm. In the story, it means keeping countries safe, especially in the Gulf region. For example, the city has good security at the airport. Second word, defense. Defense means protecting a country or place from attack. Ukraine wants help with air defense missiles to protect itself. For example, the castle has strong defense walls. Third word, missiles. Missiles are weapons that fly through the air to hit a target. Ukraine asked for defense missiles from Middle Eastern countries. For example, the army tested new missiles last week. Now, for our second recap part, let's learn the common phrase, once in a lifetime. This phrase means something that happens only one time in a person's life. The IOC uses it to describe the sex test athletes take once. We use this phrase for very special events. For example, winning the lottery is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Another example, she had a once-in-a-lifetime chance to meet the president. That is all for today's language recap. Follow LinguaWire for the latest daily episode and build your daily language habit with us.